Hello everyone, my name is Steve Van Oostenbrugge and I am the Executive Director of the Institute of Certified Professional Managers. Today we're going to talk about decision making. What it is, where it comes from, different types, all of that. As managers, we need to make decisions all the time. As individuals, we make way too many decisions. Probably overthink things, to be honest with you. I'll give you some examples and things of that as we go forward. But when we talk about the types of decisions that managers make, we need to kind of look at the easy ones and the harder ones. Go figure. So the idea of making decisions throughout the day, you have to understand that managers are making decisions not just for themselves, but also for their employees and for the organization that they're working for. In a previous episode, we talked about mission and vision, the idea of mission being what we do today. Why are we here? Why do we punch the clock when we go to work? The vision is why do we do that, what we hope to accomplish, that far off, that vision, that idea of what we want the end result to look like, the finish line, so to speak. The decisions that we make on a daily basis, moment by moment throughout the day, that is what helps us achieve both the mission, why we're here today, and also to achieve that vision of where we hope to be in the future. So we really need to be, conscious of how important decision making really is in the world of management. So the first one we're going to talk about is those decisions which are so easy to make. It's almost like muscle memory, right? It's those things that we don't even have to think about it. Consider you leave work today and you get in your car and you're driving down the road, you come to this stop light, turn right out of work or whatever, and you get to the first stoplight. Do you really think about, let's see, where do I go? Do I turn right or do I turn left or I go straight to get home? You have probably made that trip so many times you don't even think about it. You just automatically get into the correct lane that either is going to turn or go straight, whatever direction you're going to turn or go straight. This idea of it's like no thought. You didn't put any thought to that. That type of decision is called a programmed decision. The idea that your mind, your muscle memory, so to speak, has been programmed to already know what the answer is. And rest assured, perhaps the very first time you made that decision, it really wasn't programmed at that point. You didn't know what the best way to get home after you left from work that day was. The first day do you remember what that first day of work probably was like? I mean, not the least of which it was stressful enough being in that new job and meeting new colleagues and perhaps having a new job. But then when you left, you're like, okay, major relaxation. But then you're like, okay, what's the best way to get home? Where do I minimize the least amount of traffic? Oh, look, there's something in front of me. Do I go around them? Do whatever? That's muscle memory. That is a programmed decision. Those decisions that we have made so many times in the past, we don't even think about it. Those are the easy ones. Now, I just gave you an indication of that very first day of work. The day that you came there and you realize it's like, where do I go? What do I do? And you have to kind of go through a process in your own mind. And there are many, many different ways that you can do this to determine what is the best decision. Those unsure or very first time that you're making this decision for that item, for that challenge that's in front of you, is called a non-programmed decision. The idea behind a non-programmed decision is exactly what I said. You've never been confronted with it before. You don't know what the right answer is. And that is the biggest challenge for managers today. You're going to run into some decisions and things that you now have to decide. You have to give directions to your employees. You have to figure out what to do, and there's no rule book. There's no guidebook for that. You don't have anything to reference what the end result would look like. At that point, you really have to think to yourself, okay, how do I determine what the best approach is? And you start coming up with all these different ideas and these thought processes to say, okay, these contingencies, all right? So if I do this, what's the result here? If I do this, this is what's the result over here. If I turn right, again, just using the example of, leaving from work and going home for the very first time, or going someplace on vacation for the very first time, does anybody really know how to get to your vacation destination if your GPS were to all of a sudden go out? Now, I know we love technology. We all do. I use it myself quite a bit. I use an awesome program to get from point A to point B. But what happens when I don't have that? Now, in the old days, perhaps you had a paper map. Heaven forbid we actually have paper maps in the car anymore. But what happens if you don't? So at that point, you're like, okay, am I traveling in the right direction? And the idea behind this is you start asking yourself some questions. Hopefully you have some of the answers to those. It's like, okay, am I heading in the right direction? Okay, I'm going north. I'm supposed to go north. Okay, but I can't go north all the way because my destination is perhaps like northwest. Oh, okay. So this road happens to be going north right now. So the point being is that you start asking these questions, these very important questions, to determine, is this the best approach? And you do a pro and con. You kind of look at it and say, okay, if I were to go south and my destination is northwest, why would I do that? Is there a roadblock up ahead? Is there a bridge out on the road ahead of me in order for me that basically says I cannot travel north on this particular road? Okay, now I'm confronted with something. I have to figure out something else. All right, I'm going to go south, and then I'm going to have to, figure out the next road. Maybe it'll take me west, and then, later on down the road, maybe another one will take me north. The point being is I can attempt to get to my destination. Welcome to management. The idea that this individual comes up to you and says, boss, I got a problem, and they explain it to you, and you're like, whoa, that's a new one. Never heard that one before. So now you start figuring out, like, okay, so what do we have available? What can we do? Here's the beauty of this, okay? I cannot tell you what the right decision would be. It would depend upon the situation that you're confronted with. It's going to depend upon what options are available, your thought process. But let me be very, very, very clear. This is the time for the critical thinking. This is the time where you really have to take a moment, okay? Sometimes these moments can be very quick. Sometimes they're going to be a lot longer. There's no time frame associated with this that says this has to be done in 1 minute or it's going to take you 5 days. There's no time frame for that. It all depends upon the situation. But during that time, you need to be looking at the options. What are my options? What is the result of that options? For that matter, is it an ethical decision? Is it a legal one that I'm attempting to do? Those might be very easy. Is this illegal to do? Well, that should be a program decision. Well, I shouldn't do that. If it's illegal, it's like, okay, is it unethical? Is it illegal? At which case you got a program decision. Is it legal? Don't know. Okay, so then there goes to the critical thinking. Start looking at the pros and the cons. I go here, do this, whatever. Okay. The beauty of all of this is this. When you are confronted with a non-programmed decision, those off-the-wall situations that you run across that you've never had before, when you successfully achieve the result that is needed for that particular challenge, the decision that you made worked, you have now just created a programmed decision. Because if you're ever confronted with that one again, you kind of know what you need to do. Now, the beauty of that is if you have a non-programmed decision and you make the decision and it turns out to be wrong, it's still a non-programmed decision in the sense of you have some more information that you can use. You kind of look at it and say, well, last time I was confronted with this, I did this, and it didn't work. Maybe I shouldn't do that again. I need to kind of think about it and say, well, this is the steps I took, didn't work. How about we try something else to see if that works? And you're going to continue to make the decision. Did it work? No? Okay. Make a different decision. Did it work? Great. Hey, there we go. Okay. That's the beauty of decision making. That is why as managers, your employees come to you. They're looking to you for that guidance. And it's up to you to determine what needs to get done in that particular instance. Welcome to decision making. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.